Hello, 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 and happy day to everyone. Welcome back to the Fear to Freedom Project. And I am so excited today because I have an amazing guest. This is my heart sister. I know I say that to pretty much probably three-quarters of the people that have been on my show, but it's the truth. This is my heart sister. We were binded in love. It was nothing she could do about it because I knew her when she was younger, a lot younger, right? Right?
Right, a lot.
Yes, yes, Miss Apostle K. Thank you for coming here to the
Thank
Fear
you
to
for
Freedom.
having me.
Oh my gosh, why would I not have you? You are spreading the word, the gospel. You're doing so much in the community, and we thank you for that. I want people to know kind of how we met. We're gonna have some honest conversations here. I love it. I love the Fear to
Absolutely.
Freedom Project because we are open, we are honest, we are bringing you inspiring stories, and we're also bringing you resources that will help you in your human experience here on this earth. So we met. Oh man, I must have been about 29 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much about 29 years ago.
Right,
And
right.
I was your parents' social worker
Yes.
because they were fostering and not only fostered, but they adopted children that came to my attention through the system. And so we instantly became a family. Your parents took me in and they called me their daughter. And we have been together ever since. And so
Yeah.
I love your family. I love you, and you all have done your parents. I mean,
They're
I don't know.
amazing.
That's like a whole like podcast for them, right? So
I'm
we
telling
ain't go.
you, yeah.
I love your mama and daddy,
They
and your
are to
dad.
be loved. Yes.
Yes, they are just they took everyone. Everyone was their daughter. There was never any difference and there was never any judgment about anything, and they just loved me and then saw me through marriage, divorce, baby, a daughter. Yeah, yeah. So I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to read your bio so that everybody can know just how wonderful you are. Meet Apostle K, everyone, a devoted wife, a devoted mother, a devoted daughter, grandmother, sister, friend, and pastor, known for teaching the raw truth in love. She has traveled the world teaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Apostle K's ministry uniquely blends her passion for African drumming and instructing. And as a serial entrepreneur, she wears many, many, many hats, including photographer, DJ, and a graphic designer. Whew. Apostle K's love for God, people, family, and life, living life to the fullest. Join us today as we hear her inspiring story of faith, of music, and entrepreneurship, and just being her authentic self. So,
Woo.
yeah, that's you. That's you. That's who it is. Yes. What inspired you to be in ministry? I mean, I just know your dad. Like your dad. Uh,
Yes. God rest his soul. So inspiring to be in ministry. That's the answer. My dad, my parents, I'm gonna say our parents. Born and raised in the church. I went to Ebenezer AME Church in Fort Washington, Maryland from the womb. And I left there about 24 years old. But just being there, being around a Christ centered family, church family, a family church, serving the family of God was the motto, is the motto. And so it was inevitable, honestly, to escape any kind of calling in ministry because they basically teach you to be servants of Christ, to serve the community, serve family. Mom and dad just laid that foundation. And so it's our family was like a church in itself. Dad would always have us
yeah.
waking up praying about everything, and so, the Bible says, train a child in the way they should go. When they grow old, they won't depart from it. So it was embedded in me. But I, grown up in the church and all of that didn't mean that that's all I was doing. I got into some stuff growing up.
Mhm.
And then at the age of 15, I like to have parties. I was like a introvert, extrovert at the same time. So
Yeah.
in the church, I started playing the African drums when I was 4. That's been my passion since forever. But growing up and doing the high school thing, I ventured out to parties, had my little boyfriend, and we just love to entertain. So next
Yeah.
thing you know, I'm having parties back and forth. I was a good student, but I
Yeah.
was into some little things that wasn't so good. And so
Mhm.
the main thing was just entertaining. It's funny. It's probably gonna balance out later, but I just like to bring people together. And so when I say I was
Mhm.
into things that was not so good, the main thing was probably around people that weren't so good. But
Mhm.
I had a huge heart like you. You got heart sisters everywhere because your heart is so big. But just allowing any and everybody into my life, trying to just show them love. And so
Mhm.
that's how, a little diversion happened over time. But at 15, I was literally having a party. I think it was December of like 2005, having a party in mom and dad's basement, and we were having a great time. And some people got a little caught up and had too much fun, and the younger siblings that we just talked about
Mhm.
got exposed to that. They were very young. And I just heard God in the midst of the party. He was like, is this really what you want for your siblings? Is this what you want for that next generation, for them to see this particular lifestyle and behavior? And I just felt convicted. I'm like, nope, it's not what I want. It's not how I was raised. I thought nothing of it. But again, entertaining some of the wrong people in the wrong environment just kind of began to spill out some things, and I wanted to pull back from that. And so I had to talk with
Mhm.
God, wanted to see what He wanted with me, and
Mhm.
that's what kind of unraveled. He began to show me what my purpose was, and the fact that I do have a love for people. He just said, "There's a different way to do this."
Mhm. Mhm. Well, what was it like for you to grow up, to be in a family where your parents, there were always extra children, in your home,
Yeah,
and because I put a lot of them there.
right, right. You did. Thank you.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And it was a loving home to put children in.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
um but now that you are older, you are a woman because I came and you were a kid. What was it like growing up with other children in your home? Did you feel in
Honestly.
any way did you
Mhm.
feel in any way disconnected or slighted or,
That's a
because
good
your
question, and I don't think I've ever thought about it because I never felt anything different because of the love that mom and dad have always shown.
Mhm.
First of all, we have a big family as it is. Family
Yeah.
is all I've ever known, and so when you add another person, another number, another set of siblings to that equation, our hearts are just being stretched. And
Mhm.
the neighborhood children love to come over and hang out. So I really didn't know anything different when you started coming around and calling them mom and dad and they calling you daughter. It was nothing different. It's just our love continued to grow fonder, our hearts got stretched wider, and the family just continued to grow. And so even years later, to think back on it, because the question is posed, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change
Mhm.
anything. Of course, there were some who went through the foster process and were
Mhm.
adopted. We're thankful for those two.
Yes. Yes.
There was one that came in and fostered and reconnected with her family. She's still a part of our family
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And then even her siblings. We're still a family. It doesn't matter
Yes.
what the system does. It's about what the heart does. And I'm grateful for you. I don't know if I even had the opportunity to tell you thank you this way. You've truly changed our lives forever by bringing such wonderful siblings into my life, wonderful children into mom and dad's life, and nobody's
Mm.
perfect. When you come from the system and you come from backgrounds that are difficult, it can be difficult blending
Yes.
families, whether it's marriage or adoption or whatever the case is. But
Mhm.
because of the parents we have, because of the God we serve, it's been a beautiful journey, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Oh my gosh, that just makes my heart feel so good. And I know, I mean, because I was there, right? So I know
Yes.
all of the stuff. I know all y'all little business y'all was going through
Right.
when y'all were young. But you know what? I mean, just to watch you grow into this amazing, amazing apostle, this amazing woman, this amazing entrepreneur, you are truly my sister and you are loved and supported and you are living your dad has left a legacy here
Yes.
and you are fulfilling it. I mean, those are big shoes to fulfill, right? You when you
Hmm.
following past the Simpson,
Yes. Yes.
Man, so and you are doing it, and your mother is so very special to me. So you are welcome. I'm so it was destined.
This,
It was destined to be. What
who
does
would think you would adopt a social worker too? That's how you know
I
you're amazing.
the social worker, then her husband, her child, then a
Yes.
new husband, then a new
Yes.
yeah,
Look, bring them all. Bring
bring
everybody.
them all, and they all have been loved and welcomed. So yes, that is your daddy is my daddy. What
Absolutely.
does the raw truth in love mean to you?
Everything. So, speaking the raw truth in love is a motto I adopted probably about, let's see, about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. In It's about the conviction again that I felt in my spirit, relative to a lot of things that God was dealing with me about. So I shared that I took a little diversion at the age of 15. At the age of 15, I was actually molested, by one of the former members of the church that I grew up in. And this was prior to, right after my calling, actually. I had just received and accepted my calling into ministry. And I had just written a book. I became a first time author at the age of 15. And boom, out of nowhere, one of my supposed biggest supporters who showed up to support me at my first book signing. Again, she was a member of the church, had children, about 7 or 8 kids at the time, molested me. And so it was really a luring act out of straight fear for me. I know we're talking about fear to freedom. And so I want to incorporate that.
Wow, wow,
Yeah, yeah. She was a
wow,
friend of the family, somebody who used her
wow.
children as leverage to kind of pull me out as if I was spending time with her children when she didn't even have custody of them. That is a whole nother story in itself. I have a documentary about that. But that took me on a journey for about 7 years. One
Mhm.
time molestation turned into a 7 year misery called a relationship by the person who did it. And she told me
Wow.
it was love. And she kind of got me to turn away from these wonderful parents that we just talked about. Painted this ugly picture in my head about my family and caused me to leave the home prematurely before I'd even graduated high school. I was out of the house. Um,
Yes.
Living a lie, but out of fear, because my life was threatened that if I ever told anybody, she would kill me. And so for 7 years, I became her person of choice, her person of interest. Um, and I stayed in bondage for 7 years out of fear. And by the time I was about 21, going on 22, I was broke. As a teenager, I was providing for her, paying her bills, doing all of these things, and losing myself in the process, being groomed by her to become who she wanted me to be for her and her family. And so I was just really fearful, terrified, traumatized. And then I got to a point where it's like, I have nothing else to lose. She's taken everything from me. I'm just going to speak my truth. I'm going to tell what's happening to me. If I die, let me die, But right now, I feel like I'm dying every day by being in this situation. I was basically prostituted by her and a lot of other things. And so I came home to my family one day, talked to mom and dad, and I said, listen, I don't know what to tell you, but I got to get out of where I've been. They were thinking I was out with a boyfriend and just being promiscuous and all of that. And so I told them the truth about what had happened, and they were very open, very loving, and took the necessary actions to get me the help and support that I needed. But it's like from that time forward, I was just healing and dealing with the truth of what I had just experienced for the last 7 years. And
Mm,
once I spoke out about my journey, my experience, the trauma that I had gone through, there was
mm.
nothing that anybody could say or do to me that would cause me to live a lie again, because I
Yes,
felt like my worst days were behind me. And the
yes,
more I began to speak my truth, that person began to hear it. I was on podcasts and teleconference calls and online just sharing it, because I'm like, I knew I wasn't the only one. I wasn't her only victim. So I'm like, I need to
yes,
get my truth out there and tell people about what's going on, so that others can be free too. Young, old, it didn't matter. And I began to see the impact of telling the truth, because
yes, yes,
I've never been a person that cared to lie. I wasn't
yes.
raised that way. And so telling my truth helped set others free to tell their truth and live in it. And I just saw so much freedom as a result of it. God was able to heal me because I confronted the truth.
Hmm.
And, from that day forward, I just been speaking the raw truth. I know the truth often hurts, but I'd rather be hurt with the truth than cuddled by a lie. So That's
Yes. Wow, sister. Now,
yes,
I remember vaguely, but I did not know all of that.
yeah,
I did
yeah.
not know all of that.
It's more to the story, but that's
Wow,
the bottom
sister.
line. Yeah, yeah,
I remember vaguely, of course, just Chris is growing up. She's
right.
doing, but I didn't know you were going through all of that. And
Yeah,
what a brave soul you are.
thank you.
What courage you have to speak out and to tell the truth and to still have love for the divine Father, God.
Absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
sometimes we go through situations and we like, look, thumb our nose up at God, like you ain't protect me from this, but that's not it. That's
That's
not
not
it.
it. I mean, I
No.
see it as God allowed it. Bad things happen in the world, so it's like
Yes.
God allow. He either does it, or He allows it, or He prevents it. And so, this particular season of my life, God allowed. I was suicidal. I was depressed. I went through a lot of different
I know.
emotions and feelings. But I know that God never left my side because my attempt for suicide didn't work. And I know that was God. And so I laid in the bed and cried with a knife to my head one night. And I said, this is it. I'm hurting too bad. I'm ready to give it up. And God literally allowed me to cry so hard that I cried into a deep sleep that saved my life. And so there's no way I can turn my back on God because I know He kept me. I know I'm still here today because of His grace. And I know that He gave me the strength, the power, and the boldness, the courage to speak out and tell the world about my story so that the world could tell their story. And there's just no way I could turn my back on God. I know that He kept me. Bad people do bad things, but God is always good.
Yes, and the end result is always good. It is always
Absolutely.
for our highest purpose and our highest
Yeah.
good.
Hmm.
Wow, what an amazing story. Okay, so now we're going to flip to African drumming because drumming has been known to be therapeutic in some sort of way.
Very much so.
So, yes, so how has African drumming impacted you in terms of your healing process?
So you know what? I gotta say, despite all of the hats that I wear, African drumming is the one I never let go of in the
Mhm,
process. Some I put down and picked it back up. Poetry, I put it down, picked it back up, put it down.
mhm.
Writing, all of those things. But drumming, I just, again, I thank God for it. And I'm going to tell you, it's a little funny because when I was younger, I've always asked my parents to, introduce me to the drums. I wanted to play the drum set. And I
Yeah.
don't know how I got on the African drums. They took me to the church, and I think mom told somebody I wanted to play the drums. And instead of putting me up there with the choir, they took me to like this Monday night class, and I was the youngest one in the room. I was 4. The other drummers were older, and the dancers were older. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this is not what I asked for. But they wanted me in there. It was cool and convenient, so I did it. But the older I got, the faster I was learning. I think I was teaching drums by 12.
Yeah.
Kind of independent after that, and a lot of things I was self-taught. I wasn't quite grasping what they were teaching me when I was younger. But the older I got, the more I grasped it, the more I could feel my heartbeat connected to the drum beat, and the
Yes.
more I realized the reason why I was drumming. So that's when you want something, you ask for something, but God gives you something else. I can
Mhm.
say that drumming has been a form of prayer for me. It's been very therapeutic. When I start, I'm in my zone. I've gotten sick over the years, but nothing could keep me from my drum. And
Mhm.
it just connects me to God. It tunes out literally everything around me, and it just
Mm.
takes me to a centered place, a focused place in God, where I can hear and feel Him so clearly.
Mhm.
And I just feel like what I'm hearing and getting from God, I'm able to send out into the world for others to hear and feel. And it's the sound of freedom, sis. I mean, it just
Yes,
is
it is. It is. Girl,
freedom.
you've been drumming for a long time. When I came home one
30
time, I don't know,
years.
all of the family, you were somewhere up in Bethesda. I don't know. We were outside. Remember?
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
was there. You were
yeah. I
drumming.
remember. Yep.
Yes, I have come to see you. You are so amazing. That's why I wanted to know, like, how has that impacted you in terms of your healing process? So it's like sort of like journaling would be, or
Yes.
for someone, or meditation would be for someone. Dru-
Absolutely. And again, now I'm teaching. I still go back to my basically my church home and drum with them on occasions. But now I'm teaching and going into the schools and teaching, and just even me learning more about the history. I went to Africa in 2019. I was in Kenya
Yeah.
teaching and doing workshops there. So it's it's more than just the culture. Of course, the culture is the core, but when you can teach it to people who are not a part of the culture and they still feel that passion and love and
Hmm.
connectivity, it's just a beautiful thing. You know, music is universal. It brings us all together anyway.
Yes, it does. I
So
love it. I
yeah.
love it. I'm so proud of you. Um, how has your ministry, well, let me back up. You recently got married,
I
right?
did.
Has it been a year?
It's been 2 years, 2 years in
Golly, man, what in the world? How does time
February.
go by like that? What is all of this about? Okay. So it's been 2 years and you are married to a beautiful woman
Yes, yes,
who has brought you so much joy because I know your face. I know you.
yes.
Yes, yes. And she has brought so much joy, and I'm sure you have as well to her. But what's that been like? It's yummy. It's 2 years, 2 years in. You're supposed to have like 2 years is for the honeymoon, and then after
Yeah.
2 years is supposed to be, man, that's bull crap. You can have a honeymoon for the entire, yeah, you can. You can.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, as far as we're concerned, it's a lifetime of honeymooning. And that's just the love that we share for each other. Yes, we got married on 2/22/22, and and we found out later on that was the same day that the Brat and Judy got married. It wasn't planned, but hey, listen, we knew something good and we did it. So yes, I married the love of my life on
Mhm.
February 22nd, 2022. Tarina is amazing.
She's beautiful.
So for one, I know I just shared my story about the molestation by a woman and all of that. So before that, I had my boyfriends, my high school sweetheart. After that, I had secretly indulged in the field of women,
Mhm.
because that again was what I was shown at an early age. But again, around 22, between 22 and 25, I made a decision that I wasn't going to date another woman in my life. I said, I'm pulling away from this because of how I was introduced to it. It was
Mhm.
trauma. And I said, that
Mhm.
was chosen for me. It wasn't anything I had chosen for myself. It wasn't anything that I was interested in
Well, let
prior.
me ask you something before you go there. So, when you knew and being heavily into ministry and having that pathway already there for you set because of your family connection,
Mhm.
how did you feel any type of conflict? Did you feel in any way that God did not love you? Were you treated differently?
So prior to, again, a lot of it was secretive and unknown, unbeknownst to many, including mom and dad.
Mhm.
And so I felt convicted tremendously. But I started to realize that the conviction wasn't always from God, but it was from people. And I said, well,
Mhm.
that's not just conviction, that's condemnation. And
Yes.
I had to heal from the first part of that, again, the trauma side of it, because the person who molested me said that they loved me. And I
Right.
learned that that was the misconception of love. If you love me, you're not going to hurt me and lure me into what you want for me. And so I spent time detaching from that. And, in church, what they want to call you up for deliverance and all of this. And so I kept going to be
I can
delivered.
pray it out you. I can pray it out of you.
Come
Come
on.
on.
I kept going to the altar. I'm like, listen, God, if you want this out of me, take it, because I didn't put it there. So get what you need and do what you need to do. And I kept going, and I would tell you the truth. People would even ask me, even after I started dating men, they would ask me, what, in the church, so are you straight? Are you gay? What are you? And I'm like, listen, if I had a choice and a preference, I would still choose to be with a woman. But I was taught that it's not right. Even growing
Yes.
up at home and in the church is not right. And I was shown every reason why I shouldn't. So I left it alone and I just did what I thought was right.
You
Got
lived a
engaged.
lie.
Yeah, did the lie. Got engaged to a man. Actually, I was engaged twice to two different men.
Mhm.
And it,
I
it ended
remember.
for various reasons. One was military and came back with PTSD. So for my protection, I called it off and we remained friends. The other one
Mhm.
I did out of fear because dad was just diagnosed with cancer. And I'm like, listen, I don't know what life is like not to have some strong man in my life to be there. And I called it off because that was the wrong motive. But to bring us into now 2022, as it was when I got married 2021, when I met Tarina, I was not dating women at the time. I was in that point of I would never do it again. I'm just going to wait for my husband. I had all
Mhm.
these posts on Facebook, my dear future husband.
I
um,
remember.
and I met Tarina by way of counseling her and her family. So she was going through a divorce. She was married to a man. She was going through a divorce, and she called me and she said, "Apostle, I need your help. I need prayer." She had no idea about my lifestyle, my past, or anything. And so I counseled some of her children who were preparing to get married, and her as she was getting divorced. And the more I came around, the more she just, kept calling me for extra prayer and extra conversations. And I'm like,
I
listen.
need extra prayer. Wow.
And I would come out and, myself and my team, the ministry, we actually went out there because her divorce was really spiritually heavy for her. And so we went out there, stayed, got a hotel out there, stayed, and just helped her family for quite a while. But then she just started serving me. She would cook because we were out there, and I'm like, this lady can cook. And more and more things happened, but it was just one day she sent me a message and she was like, listen, I want to thank you for everything, but I want to tell you something. And she just let me know that she had this huge crush. She didn't know what to expect. She just had to speak her truth. And surprisingly, I did not decline. I accepted her truth, and I was shocked because I said, I wasn't even looking at you like this, but that should have opened my eyes to something. Let me look at you. And I've been looking at her ever since. But she does a lot of the same things I do. She's in the business world, so we worked around each other. I was working in a group home, not even knowing that she worked in the same group home on a different shift.
Really?
We never crossed paths there, but we were on the same schedule. She was in ministry. She had her own following, and we were just Facebook friends. And people would hire us both for their weddings and stuff. She was a wedding coordinator, and I would be the photographer. So one of her friends got married. She was the coordinator. I was the photographer. And, I guess we just got to be around each other more. And the key factor is I learned that she was and is a really powerful woman of God. And for me, that's what made it easy to accept her and accept standing in this truth and presenting this to our parents at the time. It was like, I don't know. She loves God. I love God. God has to love us. We love each other. What are we going to do with this? We just going to do ministry and do life. And we did it. She is the first woman I've ever introduced to the family.
Yes.
And I was like, y'all okay? Everybody cool?
How was mom and pop?
Mom was so the same day I told mom, I took mom shopping one day. She wanted to go to the store, and it was just burning in me on the way home to tell her, because I'm like, I'm so happy, and I want you to know that I'm happy, and this is the person that's making me happy. So when I told her, I was a nervous wreck, but she was like, oh, where is she? How can I meet her? I want to see her.
That sounds just like her.
And I'm like, what? I was like, well,
just like your mom, though.
Yeah, I'm like, well, since you asked, she's at the house. I can take you by to see her. And took her to the house to meet Tarina, and she fell in love with her. Mom shocked me beyond measure. She was like, I prayed for you to have this. I prayed for you to walk in this measure of truth. She said, I've known. And I just want you to be free. Come to find out, mom had a dream that I married a woman. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me? I would have then said something to you. But I'm glad that it happened in God's timing, because had I been more comfortable, I probably would have presented the wrong person to the family, or I probably would have locked in with the wrong person. But I know Tarina is the person for me. I got really sick with COVID after we got together, nearly died. But her mere presence walking in the room brought me back to life. And I said, man, I've been touched by an angel. There's no way I can let you go. And Dad found out the same day about Tarina. Mom said, well, bring Tarina, take me home, bring Tarina with you. I said, no. You can tell Dad, let me know how.
No, you didn't run away from Dad.
Dad has always been God created, Adam and Eve.
Yes.
He didn't make no mistakes. And nope. So I'm like, nope, you tell Dad and let me know how it goes. If he doesn't like it, I might let it go. Because, I love my parents. I'm like, I don't know. My thing was always, if I dated another woman, it would be after my parents are no longer here. I didn't want to be a disgrace to them, an embarrassment or anything. And so I couldn't wait that long for Tarina. Dad came downstairs that night, and the cat had my tongue. I couldn't speak. I could not say a word. I was stuck and sweating. He looked up. He said, so how long y'all been knowing each other? I was like, okay, something. And as we started sharing, our timeline, we really only known each other this way for maybe a couple of weeks. And he said, I just want y'all to know one thing. You have my blessings, and whatever you do, don't stop preaching, don't stop teaching, don't stop loving. He said, you're going to get a lot of backlash, but I want you to know that the Holy Spirit spoke to me about you before you got here. And I've been waiting for you.
Oh.
And then, you know, that was in 2021. We
I
got
know that had to just be so like such a relief too, you know, for
huge.
you because we want to please our parents, right? We
Yes,
do, but
yes,
ultimately we're here to please ourselves,
yeah,
not
yeah.
our parents. We are here
That's
to
it.
live our truth and please ourselves. And you know, in doing that, you please God when you honor yourself.
Yes.
So, but
Mm,
because you come from a family, because your dad is just your dad, you know,
that's it.
because
Yeah.
he's going to love, that's all. He's going to represent God.
Yeah.
That is what he did. He
He
has
actually,
always
when
been
I
a
proposed to
representative
her
of
on
God.
January 1st, I
Mhm.
proposed to her January 1st, 2022. He got on his knee with me.
Yeah.
And he was right there with me. And actually, our wedding was a month, maybe 3 or 4 weeks after the proposal, and he was right there. That was probably the last main event that he got to attend with the whole family. He danced. He danced like he had not danced before, and
I know.
God always promised me that he would be, or they would be rather, at my wedding. And I'm like, okay, God, I don't have no significant other, and Dad is sick. What's happening? And God sent Tarina right on time. God kept Dad, and Tarina actually helped care for him along the journey, along with all of our other siblings. You know, Dad
Mhm.
fell in love with her and
Mhm.
told her things about certain things that I didn't even know about. So it's like
Mhm.
everything just fit like a glove,
Yes,
and
it
it's
did.
been working ever since. So ministry is booming, you know, because of us together. We are able
Yeah.
to counsel other couples and heterosexual couples. You know, it's not a gay ministry. We don't,
Yes.
you know, we don't do all of those flamboyant things. It's simply love. And so we don't
That's
do
it.
labels and titles. We just love each other. That's my wife, my queen, my rock. And I just honor her and celebrate God for allowing us to still be who we are in him and love each other the way that we do.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Yes, this is making me so happy because that is all that matters is love.
That's it.
And
That's it.
we are not
God's
to be
love.
separating ourselves from each other. We
No.
are full expressions of our divine God, our
Yeah.
divine source. We are expressions. So, what makes think, you know, anyone think that because you love a woman,
Yeah.
because you're a woman and you love a woman, that you're not a part of God? If
That's
that is
it.
your thought, then, you know, think again, because
That's
that is
it.
not the truth and it is
Well,
not a
I mean, we had so many
representation
people
of
to,
love.
to leave and walk away from the ministry
I was going
initially.
to ask you, how did the church respond,
The church response. So
or the ministry, the
the
people in
minute,
the ministry?
right, because the church at large actually surprised me, but the ministry that God gave us, we lost a lot of people. I would say probably 99% of the people. Family
Really?
stayed, and a couple of members stayed, but it I went through a season of probably more depression because I'm like, wow, y'all said y'all had my back to the end, you would never leave me, and everybody, and I'm
99%?
like, yeah, and I'm like, I didn't know that my choice of who I love and who I chose to marry was going to make you see anything else different about, you know, who I am in ministry, and who I am in God. But it opened up my eyes to a lot. You know, over time I regained the strength. God began to send other people to where he didn't even give me time, you know, to really soak and mourn the loss of those people, because it is what it is. He sent
Yeah.
twice as many to show me that we're here. And like I said, it wasn't about building up a same gender loving ministry. It was about building up a Christ centered
Ministry.
ministry,
Yeah.
a God
Yes.
loving ministry.
Yes.
And Dad was right there. You know, we were virtual for a while. We just got back in the building because of my wife. You know, she's a people person, and she said, we got to get back in there. We got to connect with the people and show them what true love looks like. And so
Yes.
we're continuing to speak the raw truth in love. She's very passionate. She's a prophet. And God just uses her in some amazing ways to where I'm now able to step back, as you see now, went from Pastor K to Apostle K, to kind of oversee things, allow her the opportunity to just be free and flow in her gifts. And so
Mhm.
it's such a beautiful thing. The
Mhm.
ministry is growing by leaps and bounds. We've now been able to connect with others who are not even Christians, but they believe God is love. And we're doing
Yes.
outreach with some Muslim guys. And it's like, God
Oh
is
my God.
really, he's taking the
This is
scales
that's a
off.
now, Kristen. Now you
Yeah.
gotta you have to we have to talk about the awakening, the
Mhm.
evolution of even the church or people that are in church or Christian or whatever you want to label yourself as.
Mhm.
We have to talk about the evolution of this because your ministry has doubled
Mhm.
and it is God centered and it
Mhm.
is based on love and it has nothing to do with your sexuality.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. And so more and more people are coming to this awareness that we are all one. That
Yes.
there should be no judgment. Judgment, if you're judging me, you're judging you.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
judging your, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
self-judgment. That's all it is. And the
Yeah.
people that are not ready or not in this awareness right now, it's okay because we're all going to get there. So them leaving, it just means that they just have some more work to do wherever they are. We love
Yeah.
them and send them love and light, but we are ready for the ministry that has doubled and tripled and going to
Yes.
keep on going. Yes,
Yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
important.
I'm telling you, so that raw truth is big because some of the people that left, they left to
Mhm.
live a lie. And you said in the beginning, we're gonna be open and honest. Some of those
Yes,
people wanted to be with me, and I turned them down. And and it's like, okay, it would be cool if it was us, but because I didn't choose you,
yeah.
you can't rock with me. Okay, so
But that's okay though, because I hear that, but that is more a reflection of where they are, not
exactly,
you. It's just a
exactly,
reflection of where they are, and we
yeah,
just gonna have compassion for where people are, leave them where we ain't gotta be bothered with them. Just
no,
yeah, but it's okay. It's okay
it's
because
really okay, and I love it.
yes,
Again, I'm thankful for people like you. I know when I called you or you called me after you saw the post, so we didn't announce anything until the day after our wedding. Our immediate family knew and were there. We were in COVID still, so it kind of worked out. But we
yeah,
didn't announce to the world or the church until the day after the wedding, and that's because we didn't want any opposition. We prayed about it. Our parents covered us, and it was like there was nobody that can stop
nothing.
what God was doing, and so it was done. And then we told everybody, and it's been happening ever since. God has been just opening up so many doors for our
I was so happy when I saw it. I was like, I knew. I
yeah,
mean, I knew long time ago. So I'm just like, I'm like mom, like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so glad that you are, like we've been waiting for you. We've been waiting for the love of your life, and you are
yeah.
so happy, and she is so beautiful, and
Thank
the
you,
family is beautiful, and what you guys are doing in ministry is beautiful.
thank you.
I want to ask you, what are you most excited about in life right now?
Life itself has got to be my first answer. Like I said, I've been dealing with some health challenges. I want to say this probably started after COVID. So I recently got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, probably last November. And when that diagnosis hit, I went back to work while grieving the loss of dad, while still dealing with the loss of family and friends more so, and people in the ministry. Like everything happened at once, and so I really felt like I was dying, and to some degree I was, for from health challenges, from grief, from just losing it. I started dealing with anxiety, and I never dealt with that before, depression and all of these things. And I'm like, listen, at this point, I could tell you I'm more passionate about business right now. I'm more passionate about ministry. But my truth is, I am more passionate about life. My eyes see different now. My heart loves different now. Walking in my truth and having this opportunity to just shine light around the world, the light of God, the light of love. I'm just passionate about life to where I don't want to put any cap on it, because God has me in seasons and times to where one season I may be focused on business, and another season I may be more so drumming. It's so many things that God does in my life that I don't lock into one particular thing, because then I'll lose out on everything else. I'm just passionate about life and encouraging other people to live life to the fullest, to love. Whatever your truth is, the Bible says that there is nothing that can separate us from the love of God. So listen, to anybody watching, I love you. I appreciate, Debbie, this opportunity to just be here. But the most thing that I'm passionate about is life itself. Whatever I can do to bring more life to myself and others, I am here for it.
You are so amazing. You answered my next question. I'm like, what kind of hope can we give the people? And you did. You offered hope.
That's
You
it.
know,
I mean, I
yes.
want to leave some of my favorite scriptures, and I know everybody watching may not be a Bible thumper or a Christ follower, and that's okay. But these parts of the Word of God, nobody can deny. Jeremiah 29:11 says that God knows the plan that He has for us, and it's a plan to give us a hope in the future, not for our disaster, not for our destruction. And then I tie that into Romans 8:18 through 28, where it says, the present sufferings are not worthy to be compared to the glory that will be revealed in us through Christ Jesus. And Romans 8:28 says that all things, God causes all things to work together for the good of those who love Him and are the called according to His purpose. So when you know that God has called you to a greater purpose, no matter what happens in life, it's going to all work together for your good. I mean, you've heard my journey, my life in just a few minutes of the trauma into the triumph, the fear into the freedom. And so I'm encouraging everybody, no matter what your background is, your preference is, whatever your lifestyle looks like, just know that God loves you and we love you too. So live life, be great, do your thing, and just be amazing in this world, because we need more amazing people to just stand up and be confident in who they are.
So I had to go get my mic so I can drop it. Just drop the mic. Had to drop the mic. My sister just put it down here on the Bit of Freedom Project. Let me tell you something. You are so amazing. And thank you so much. You have given me so much. I'm full today. And, I started just because we're all on this journey of life trying to figure it out. And I was like, maybe I won't do it today. But
Yeah.
you have brought me so much joy. I am so glad to have you here. You went through a very traumatic experience, and I know what fear is. And
Yes,
you were able to overcome that fear. And not
absolutely.
only, you not only to overcome it, but you faced it. You looked at it and you are healing your way through it and have. I don't want you to forget your spiritual practices too. Meditation, keep your drumming up, so that you can get rid of that anxiety. You are
It's
loved
gone.
and
It's
supported.
gone. I'm good.
Yes,
God has done it.
good. You are
Yes,
loved and supported. Your dad is by your side, and you have such an amazing wife who loves
yes.
and supports you. So I'm just glad that you came today. And listen, if you are here for the first time at the Fear to Freedom Project, welcome to the show where I just bring you some inspirational stories and some really good resources to help you in your human experience. So welcome. And if you're a returning champion, I love you. Thank you so much. And we are out of here. Peace and love. Okay.
Peace.